Big, make some noise!
The premier German team, Big Clan, are entering 2021's first Tier 1 LAN as the 10th ranked team in the world and as strong favorites to qualify through the play-in stage. The online period has been one of change for most teams, but Big is the only team in the top 30 that made no player changes during the pandemic. Despite the stability and a 2-month period at the #1 rank in the world, anyone that's been following the CSGO scene for the past year will tell you the same things about Big. They've stagnated, they're due for a roster change, and it's difficult to argue against these naysayers. Only time will tell what LAN holds for Big, but here's how they got there. From 2017 to 2018, Big were led by
Now you can see
Gabi.
if we are on point and everyone is listening to my comms and I call my A game call, or how you want to call it. It looks pretty easy for us then, because they're getting so much outplayed. We are playing with their minds, and
Once they work themselves into the right positions, they pounce with an explosive ferocity, led by tabseN.
Try and chase Cage and be down, but he doesn't have the angle. There's the flashbang over. Perfect timing. There's some of those tactics out of Big we're finally seeing, and wrapping onto the site. Baldy can only get one. Reinforcements are here, but they've got to get out into this bomb site.
However, Gabi decided it was time to hang up the mouse. He took up a managerial position within Big. This left an absence at the role of in-game leader. Despite being the star of the team and the best player in Germany, tabseN shouldered the responsibility.
tabseN's already doing what tabseN does. Wow. Suck on that.
To say that they were growing pains would put it lightly. Big failed to make a single A or S tier final under tabseN's leadership in 2019. Their team was deemed a failure by analysts.
It is a little bit confusing to understand exactly how Gabi and how Big are going to be able to utilize Xantares, because as you mentioned, all of 2019 was a little bit of a fail coming out of Big.
Big looked to the future and enlisted the services of Keto and tabseN. The duo came from Sprout, a lower tier German team. Despite their success at that level, they were unproven at any significant LANs or against Tier 1 opposition.
Left onto tabseN to try and save them in the grand final, and he's not gonna do it.
Headed into the first tournament of 2020, tabseN had modest hopes at DreamHack
It's a really
Leipzig.
tough tournament. There are really good teams in here, and I expect to be at least in the semi-final, to be honest. But everything can happen because all the teams are very good here, and we will see.
Even Freya's desire for a split desk couldn't sway her to think that the Germans had a
echo your
chance.
sentiment of being heartbroken by Big a bit too many times, because I think I sided with them in Seville.
They instantly surpassed expectations.
Frag, and now Xantares stands tall. Jame last man standing not for much longer, and Big in cruise control.
And they kept on winning.
Up middle, and there's a slight gap, and that's also seriously needed. Snappy 1-on-3 to save the day for Heroic. Can he do it? No, he can't! Big secure their place in the grand final. History repeats itself.
The trophy stayed in
They
Germany.
can smell victory, so they do force the issue. Xantares charging up into the tunnel, sprays down 3 bodies, and Malta 1 versus 5 with a deagle. You have no chance. Big have done it. They've taken it by storm. They charge their way into this. It's them, Big.
When the pandemic began, many of the more experienced teams had trouble adjusting to the new environment, but Big wide-swung past such problems. They were able to rise above the erratic and seemingly unpredictable nature of online play and consistently took down qualifiers and smaller cash cups. And tabseN stood out. The new firepower paired seamlessly with the methodical map control tactics left behind by Gabi. They continued that form into DreamHack Master Spring, and in the best of 5 grand finals against G2, Big were down 2 maps to 0. On the verge of defeat, they did the unthinkable.
Now they know the footsteps. Xantares, the eagle. Wow! The big clap.
In stunning fashion, Big rallied to win 3 consecutive maps to pull off the reverse sweep and claim their first S-tier trophy in the history of the organization. And that streak of dominance didn't end there. They then won the European Summer RMR event, CS Summit 6.
From Xantares, who's ready for the third doing even more damage.
The composure from Big is worthy of a championship here. It felt like every single play, they had initiative, they took some kind of direction together, and there was never any hesitation.
Why am I sitting like that?
Incredibly well. It's actually kind of mind-blowing and so unexpected to see the level that they showed us here.
After that, another trophy. Big were the #1 ranked team in the world from the beginning of July to the end of August. tabseN, the Opper that had thrived in Tier 2, showed that he could hang with the best in the world. He cemented his place in Counter-Strike history by reaching the highest ranking any German player ever obtained in HLTV's top 20 with a number 10 finish. But then, it looked like the other teams figured Big out. They began to experience difficulties in the same caliber of tournaments that they thrived in months before.
This is how it ends. Big Clan post a single.
It has felt like Big is much closer to sinking lower in the rankings than they are likely to ascend back to the top spot. Even in tournaments that many thought Big were the favorites to win in, they found themselves finishing outside the top 4. The new year for Big kicked off with the only roster change the org has made for 1.5 years. Big's stoic coach, Toby, stepped down in place of Dude. And yes, his username is Dude. Toby brought almost comical levels of discipline to the German team.
Like when I was younger, I was exactly the same. I was always late, yeah, and it's not something some people say, it's really hard for me to be in time. It's not hard, yeah. You can just be in time like every time, basically. It's also nothing that you do like 90% of the time. You have to be, if you want it, you can be always in time. Yeah? You can just get up 5 minutes earlier.
The 3 most common questions from pundits when discussing Big are as follows. Who is the star today? Stats and the eye test point to Xantres. The Turkish rifle beast instills fear in his opponents with his mechanical prowess. His decision-making has improved substantially since he originally joined Big. Right now, it has to be him. The second question is, do Big need to switch back to a German-speaking lineup? Dude recently dispelled any notion that English is holding the team back.
People think that, maybe it would be better if you guys spoke in German, but my assumption is that since he's been on the team now for 3 years, I feel like you guys are pretty proficient in English. I mean, I do want to hear it from the source, though. Is that the case? Do you think it would even get better in German, or do you just think that this 5-man lineup is so good, why change it?
Yeah, I doubt that communication is a problem for us. I think, as you said, we played so long with this roster, and I don't think English is a problem for anyone. We can communicate really well, really fast. There's no thinking involved in how do I say it or how do I have to say it. I think everyone understands it really well, and I really doubt that switching the language would really benefit us that well.
The final question is, do they need Favin? The Sprout Rifler has turned many heads with recent pop-off performances at the EU RMR and has been a clear cut above the Tier 2 competition he regularly faces.
It's going to be 3 kills for Favin. The assists coming through, and maybe even just trying to ace it. He wants it. You can tell he's going to go for the knife.
Big have found themselves standing atop a plateau, fending off the Tier 2 competition admirably. But the true titans in the CSGO space no longer consider Big a threat. It will come down to tabseN and Dude to reconstruct a system that innovates upon what they already have while elevating the star players. Can Big find themselves at the top once again, or does the team that has proven the most stable over the last 20 months finally need to change?